orgasmic enlightenment, where the sexual and spiritual come together. I'm Kim Anami, and I'm a holistic sex and relationship coach and a vaginal weightlifter. In this show, we explore all things intimate. I believe that our sexual energy is life force, creative energy, and we can use it to shape our worlds, strengthen our relationships, and self-actualize. I blend the most avant-garde information from neuroscience, ancient sexual practices like Tantra and Taoism, to renegade wellness modalities to show you how to create gourmet sex in your lives. Come one, come all. Conscious celibacy. Celibacy can be an amazing tool to further your growth, up-level your life, and get focused on what you really want, if you use it consciously. The time in between relationships is an amazing opportunity to take stock, see where you've come to, and get clear on where you want to go. And to be deliberate about creating your life and intimate relationship instead of defaulting to old, unconscious patterns and being the effect rather than the conscious cause of your reality. Most of the behaviors we pick up and act out in our relationships are based on the modeling we receive about what intimacy looks like. This comes from our parents, the media, television, movies, music, and pop culture, and it's unconsciously internalized and forms our beliefs, actions, and habits in how we interact with others. And this creates our reality. How often have you heard or experienced yourself someone saying, "I married someone who was just like my father or mother," when you seem to be unconsciously pulled towards people who mirror the traits of your parents? It happens to all of us. This is the product of the unconscious imprinting that we take in and then orient into the world with. My unconscious speaks to your unconscious. And the wilder and dysfunctional our upbringing was, the more we get to unpack as adults. Although most people don't. They fumble through life, repeating the same patterns, attracting the same type of person, and they can't figure out why. So let's figure it out. Over the years and the breakups, I have learned to stop, drop, and take stock. I have never been much of a rebound relationship person in that I usually take some time before getting involved with another person. I go inside and I think about what happened, and I find the moments in relationships that led to them eventually falling apart. Anais Nin has this great quote about the tiny cuts that kill our relationships. They don't tend to die in one fell swoop. It's the myriad of insults and jabs and slights and hurts that build up, and then a straw finally breaks the camel's back and it's over. She says, "Love never dies a natural death. It dies because we don't know how to replenish its source. It dies of blindness and errors and betrayals. It dies of illness and wounds. It dies of weariness, of witherings, of tarnishings." If we're really honest about it, we can track back and we can see. For example, one of the things I saw was when I told white lies, or maybe outright lies, to people. I didn't do it that much, but when I did, I would immediately see the reverberations in the fabric of the relationship. It revealed everything. And that's when I realized that there was no such thing as getting away with my little white lie. And that is how I coined the phrase, the lie of a lie. And now I'm all about radical honesty, because on some level, we all know. And from that, I learned that white lies don't cut it. Only total honesty does. So part of the work we do is getting really clear about all the places where we have fucked up. Not the other person, not what they've done, just you. Celibacy gets a bad rap because people don't do it very well. There are some very obvious examples of this, like with priests who are forbidden to have sex with adults, and so they have sex with children instead. Whether this is sanctioned in some institutions or it happens because they just don't channel their sexual energy is anyone's guess, but it's probably some of both. I would never counsel anyone to just give up sex without any intention behind it, or without learning how to channel their sexual energy. That would be unconscious celibacy. And then that energy will just invert on itself, as we see in certain examples like the ones I've mentioned. So doing it consciously is when you decide to contain yourself for a while, to put an invisible, not available sign on your forehead and direct your energy inward. This could be for any number of reasons, such as to recover and heal after a breakup, to take stock and try to change patterns and behaviors in relationships before starting a new one, and up-leveling parts of your life before your next relationship so that you are in a better place to welcome someone into your space and your life. After my last major breakup, I realized that I needed to put some time into areas of my life so that I would feel better about bringing new people into them. And so I did. I didn't put a fixed time limit on it. I just knew that meeting someone wasn't a priority until I reached a certain place in my world, and then I just trusted that I would know when I got there. If I did meet someone in that period, I wouldn't push them away, but I certainly wasn't focused on it. So that time period lasted 2.5 years. And in it, I was super productive, focused, and I accomplished what I wanted to do. And then I remember distinctly there was a moment when I thought, okay, this is it. I'm here. And within 1 week, I met 3 high caliber men, all of them long-term relationship material. And they pretty much dropped into my lap because my lap is what attracted them, as I like to say, meaning my sexual, creative, orgasmic energy did. So during that 2.5-year time period, I didn't have sex with other people. I mean, okay, I had a couple of little breakout, make-out sessions, but nothing serious, no intercourse. What I did do was go and fuck myself often and hard and soft and gently and wildly. And this was also when I created my legendary meditate, masturbate, create sequence, because that's what I would do daily, especially when I was in the throes of processing my breakup. I needed to cry and release and alchemize. And the very best tool I know for doing that is vaginal orgasms and cervical orgasms in particular. So I gave them to myself. I fucked myself through the grief and the regret and the longing for this person and his cock. And I moved it. I transformed it and I channeled that energy into creative projects, especially my writing. I wrote every day for hours a day. I came up with new ideas and directions for my business. I made major decisions and I leapt off of some massive cliffs to get rid of, as Joseph Campbell says, the life I had planned so as to have the life that was waiting for me. So when I talk about having had some of my most well-fucked periods when I was single, this was one of them and probably the most important one. And if you know anything about my work, the way I define well-fucked isn't just about having lots of sex. It's in having lots of gourmet, conscious, life-changing sex and then channeling your sexual, procreative energy out into the world as a manifesting power to birth and shape your reality. So yes, I was very well fucked. All right, so how do we do this? How do we transform our sexual energy and use the space to up-level our existence? First of all, don't cut off your sexual energy, but I recommend not actively going out and looking for a partner. Like I said, if you come across someone, great, you can figure that out as it happens. I literally have had people walk through my front door and, when the universe presented them to me on a platter, I decided to check them out. But ultimately, they weren't the ones. And when I was ready, several the ones promptly came along. Secondly, I didn't personally put any kind of fixed time on it, apart from knowing that there were things I wanted to accomplish in my life. And when those things happened, I could then feel that it was time to change that sign on my forehead. And now, number 3, here is the most important part. Channel your sexual energy. So the meditate, masturbate, create sequence I came up with is the perfect blueprint to use for this. And this is a 3-step process that is exactly as it sounds. Step 1, meditate. If you have a meditation practice already, you can use that. If not, one of my favorite ways to meditate is by using a mantra. A mantra is a charged vibrational word that helps to uplift your state of consciousness. One that I use a lot is the word HU, H-U, and it's sung like this. HU. So this is an ancient name for God, spirit, energy, the universe, which is found in cultures all over the world. You sing this with your eyes closed while focusing on your third eye for 5 to 10 minutes or longer if you wish. Step 2 is masturbate. So anyone can jerk themselves off and pass out, but you are going to engage in conscious self-pleasuring. Instead of a mad dash to the finish line as a way to put yourself to sleep, you are going to pleasure yourself and breathe. Pleasure yourself and breathe. By breathing deeply throughout and pausing along the way, you are going to take your potent, vital, sexual, creative energy and circulate it throughout your entire body. This not only regenerates you physically, but it allows you to use this energy as a procreative power source rather than just ejecting it out into the ethers. I recommend doing this for at least 15 minutes and anywhere up to 45 minutes or however long you like. When I say I don't do coffee, I do orgasms, this is what I'm talking about. I use my sexual energy as a conscious pick-me-up. When you work with your sexual energy in this way, it ultimately doesn't really matter whether you orgasm or not because you have harvested this high-quality superfood. If you choose not to orgasm, you might need to adapt to the feeling of having tons of energy after you stop rather than being sleepy and needing a nap. Which brings us to step 3. Create. Now go and do something. You can write, paint, garden, work out, clean your house, do paperwork, play with your children, focus on something that you have procrastinated on for a while. The idea is to simply do something with this energy and then repeat this whole process daily or several times a week. This is how you consciously use your sexual energy to build and manifest in your life. Everyone can do this, but most people are so dissociated from their sexual selves that any relationship they might have with their sexual energy is typically unconscious and rife with blockages and mutations. So this whole process applies to men and women, cocks, clitorises, breasts, vaginas. Go straight to the source for your energy. So the other thing that I would suggest in this conscious celibacy time period is to really take on some deep inner work. Besides the deep inner work I was just talking about, I also suggest that you look at how to upgrade your emotional, psychological, and spiritual selves as well. This is a great time to start therapy or explore different healing modalities, try a meditation class, or do a weekend workshop in something that's a particular theme or issue that you might be working on in your life. Let the universe know that you are ready for the next stage of growth. Ask and you shall receive. And then take action. Whenever you get these intuitive nudges about something that is lighting up for you, then go for it. So all of these things are helping you to clear out your system, clean house, feng shui your relationship and personal space, and raise your vibration to attract a higher quality partner. If you build it, they will come. So here are a few specific suggestions of how to use this time of conscious celibacy for men and women. So let's start with the guys. First off, this masturbate, meditate, create sequence is paramount. The most important sexual skill that you can cultivate as a man is stamina, going the distance.
He's going the distance.
This is the ultimate time for you to work on this and become a master. So we had a woman doing our vaginal kung fu salon, and her partner wanted to really join her in this process of sexual growth after he saw all the amazing things that were happening for her. And there was still a little wait until we got to the coming together salon, and even longer wait to the sexual mastery for men salon. So he began a practice of building stamina by masturbating in their sauna sauna like several times a week. And so his wife would be off doing her jade egg practice, and he'd be off self-pleasuring in the sauna and building up his stamina so that he could get to at least an hour without having the urge to ejaculate. When you come to the self-pleasuring portion of meditate, masturbate, create, practice something called edging. So this means that you stimulate yourself to be close to orgasm, but not in danger of going over the edge. And you breathe. You ease off a little bit more as you hit your peak, and then you breathe and you retract, and you keep repeating this process. And I describe this whole technique in detail in my Sexual Mastery for Men salon. There's a preview video series that goes along with that. You can find it at my website, where I talk about stamina building and other things that you can cultivate to be a super cock in bed and in life. I have a great YouTube video called How to Last Longer in Bed. And then I would also recommend that you listen to my Orgasm Without Ejaculation podcast, because yes, that is absolutely a thing, and another thing you can practice in this time. Another tool I would suggest is lingam massage. And so I differentiate this from self-pleasure, where the massage of the genitals, there's a counterpart being yoni massage, is you just spending loving, tender, soothing touch, reconnaissance even with yourself. And for men, we really want to bring that magic wand to life. So I have a couple, I think, videos on my YouTube channel about that. The other thing I would suggest is really looking at your masculine power and drive. I've talked a lot about alpha males versus beta males, and women and men really hungering for the masculine energy and that archetype to resurface and present itself, the warrior archetype in this time period, especially that we exist in. But that's really been beaten out of a lot of men. And if you feel like that's been an issue for you, then this is another theme that you can really look at in this time. And then overall, the concept of deep inner work and healing. So as I mentioned before, the idea of seeking out a therapist or some other kind of growth, elevation, anything that you're attracted to. We have an amazing crystal elixir in the Anami Alchemia online shop for men called Resurrect. And this addresses all sorts of issues from sexual abuse to father stuff, circumcision, occupying and solidifying your cock, your masculine power, and your drive. And then overall, sample as much as you can of my podcast library, my YouTube videos. I have a Sexual Mastery for Men playlist. And then if and when you want to take it to the next level, my Sexual Mastery for Men salon runs each year in September and October. For women, I would advise the same MMC, meditate, masturbate, create protocol for you. You can get more tips on this in my Self-Pleasuring 101 video, and I think there's one called Unusual Self-Pleasuring Techniques as well on YouTube. And, this is your way to really harvest and harness that energy. This is really the most important part of conscious celibacy, is using that energy, redirecting it so that you can transform it into creative energy. And it all happens through this meditate, masturbate, create process. Same thing for you, yoni massage, and this whole concept of vaginal reconnaissance to heal, activate, and awaken your yoni. And I have a couple of great videos, pussy shiatsu and yoni massage, on my YouTube channel using a jade egg. So again, this is a wonderful way to bring sentience, articulation, increased pleasure, sensation, power in your vagina, i.e. your power source. So my yoni egg salonette is available year-round in the Anami Alchemia online shop, and then my vaginal kung fu salon runs annually in January, February of each year. And also for you, focusing on your overall evolution. So whether it's different classes, trainings, workshops, anything that you're attracted to deepen your relationship with yourself. Other salons of mine, in addition to vaginal kung fu, how to be a well-fucked woman, all of this stuff is bettering you, right? Like, I'm really of that mindset, grow or die. And so if you're not growing, you're dying. And so what are you doing on a daily basis to propel yourself, even if it's small steps, in the motion of growth versus stagnation or decay? And then concept of demon hunting and excavating, like that even deeper level of shadow examination, personal therapy. Essentially, what I was talking about earlier in the podcast is trying to find the places where you could show up better in life and relationship. And one example I gave was around the idea of radical honesty. Are there any other patterns you've seen in yourself over the years and in your relationships? Do you people please, self-sabotage? Where are all the places you hide in intimacy? So one of the recommended elixirs I have for women is Luscious, which is in the Deep Healer series, my crystal elixir, again in the Anami Alchemy online shop. And this is all about going deep and helping to illuminate and clear blockages and open up all of these orgasmic and creative pathways. So all of these things will help you to up-level, change your vibration, and create space for the highest level partner to appear because you are being the highest level version of yourself. You can find my full salon schedule for the year at kimanami.com under Sexual Savant Salons. The next salon up is Coming Together for Couples, which begins in April. This is a great space to learn the skills to take you into your next relationship. Even if you're single, you take it again now, and then you take it when you have your new partner, as you know, they're going to love growth as much as you do in the future. And all of the products I referenced in this podcast, such as the crystal elixirs and the Jade kit, can be found in my Anami Alchemia online shop. All of this really comes down to intention. We can do things unconsciously or we can do them consciously. We can create our own reality or we find ourselves the product of someone else's creation. Which would you rather? Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't already, subscribe and also leave a review. And send someone else the gift of a healthy libido and an off-the-charts love life by sharing this episode with them. We'll be back next week, and in the meantime, many happy orgasms.